Hello and welcome to episode 231 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. In Los Angeles, I'm Nathan Fox. With me in Vienna, Virginia, Ben Olson. What's the latest, Ben?
It's warm, and so I went running today, which was great, and hitting some faster times. That's exciting.
Times for the mile, or
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you do 1 mile? Is that what you do?
I do 2 miles, actually.
You do
Yeah.
a 2 mile run?
Yep.
What's your fastest, best career 2 miles?
Like ever in my life, in the past.
Well, in your
40
recent,
some odd years.
let's say in your recent life.
In recent life, it's 6:30, but that's flat pavement. No ups and downs, and nice day. Not too hot, but summer.
So 13 minutes for your 2 miles.
Yeah, I think when I did that, I only did a mile. I just I ran out, and just said, okay, what can I do? So, but 6:30 was exciting. Right now, I'm like closer to like 7:30. So I'm trying to get back to that. But I'm also running 2 miles, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm at exactly.
Well, good luck.
Thanks, man.
Happy it's not winter time anymore.
Yeah.
Any cherry blossoms yet?
No, that doesn't happen until like April, or at least I don't think it does. I guess with global warming, though, it might. I mean, that's what I was thinking this morning. I was running. I was like, oh, this is nice. But I'm like, wait a sec. It's February. It's early February. It's nice now, but we're slowly becoming a California climate, I guess. Perpetually warm.
Today on the show, we have a pearls versus turds that a listener suggested. It's about reading comp.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We have a marketing email from the University of New Mexico Law that mentions their singing dean.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm. We have a personal statement feedback / award from one of our personal statement clients.
Okay.
It's pretty amusing. It's a marketing gimmick from Cleveland State that we can laugh about. We have a question about writing a diversity statement if you have a STEM background. Basically, should I write a diversity statement to highlight my STEM background? Which I thought was a novel question. I never thought about that in terms of a diversity statement before, so we can kick that around a little bit. We have a question about a Flex JD program at Turo Law in New York. And we have a personal statement from Daisy. That all sound good?
Sounds great.
Cool. This show will air on Monday, February 10th. Upcoming events. If you're listening to this on release day, it means you have 1 day to register for the March LSAT. The March LSAT, by the way, is on the 30th, Monday, March 30th. And you have to sign up for that by Tuesday, February 11th. I still just think that's an outrageously long time that you have to sign up in advance of the test.
Yeah.
That's wild. I really wish they would fix that.
It comes up in class all the time, too, where people are like, well, I'm not sure. Should I take April? Should I take June? And it's like, yeah, well, you kind of have to just decide now and then.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, rough rule of thumb? If you're within 10 points of your target, maybe sign up. Because if you're like 20 points away, I don't think you're really probably, you're not an odds-on favorite to make that leap.
Yeah.
I don't tell people. I find far too often people sign up for a test and then they're just not ready for it.
Yeah.
And they have to reschedule, or they have to just, withdraw and lose the $200. And so I'd rather people get comfortable with their practice test scores before they sign up for an official test. I know that sometimes signing up can give you the motivation to actually study, but I'd prefer that you're self-motivated enough that you can just decide that this is important to you and start doing practice tests.
Yeah. Start doing well. Focus on the daily routine and making progress.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. So the February LSAT is coming up. That's on Saturday the 22nd. And yeah, that's the upcoming dates. You can email the show, help@thinkinglsat.com. If you'd like to plaster your face on our social media, just send us a selfie along with that question or comment or whatever. We love listening, or love hearing from the listeners. Please leave us a review on iTunes. The hitting the 5 stars is really nice, but if you can actually write a few words about your experience with the show, for whatever reason, the iTunes algorithm thinks that those written reviews are more valuable. So if you can just say, something about the show, if you want to do us a favor, you'll help us reach more listeners that way. Okay, ready to dive into this pearls versus turds?
Yeah.
Why don't you take it?
Sure. Hi, Ben and Nathan. Here's my probable turd. Okay. Well, we'll find out. 2 simple steps for working through RC reading comp passages. Step 1. Sort the information in the passage into 4 categories. I'm already like, what the hell?
Definitely leaning turd so far. Yeah. It's like, what? Sorted into 4 categories. I'm looking for like a holistic understanding of the passage.
Yeah.
Right? What do they want overall? So, let's hear what those categories are.
Okay. So the categories are the main idea, support for the main idea, premises, and counter arguments.
Okay. It's officially a turd.
Yeah. Some of these passages ask you for the main point, and some of them, they ask you for the main idea because the passage was just informative. In other words, there's not really support for the idea. It was just, hey, this is happening. Done. Just FYI. So stepping back broadly, I tend to think of these passages as falling into 1 of 2 categories. Not that I even care that much or even ask people, but sometimes I see them as informative, like, hey, FYI, here's what's happening. And sometimes I see them as persuasive, like, oh, I'm trying to convince you of something. So I'm wondering, what this person would do with an informative passage that doesn't have support for the, quote, main idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not only that, but these 4 categories, one of them is main idea, one of them is support for the main idea, and another one of them is premises.
That's pretty funny. Oh, that's pretty funny. I don't even know why I didn't notice that. I guess I was just thinking already about the different types of passages. But yeah, okay, so I'd like to know what you put into the support for the main idea and what you put into the premises.
The definition of premises is support for the main idea.
Yeah.
It's evidence that was used to support the main idea. That's what a premise is. So these 4 categories, it's kind of just like the problem with semantics, right? As soon as you start dividing things up into all these pieces and parts and categories and stuff, you're necessarily making shit up. Here, you're just like, you're dividing things into categories that you don't even understand.
Yeah, when I do feel like a passage is informative, I find that they tend to use the word main idea in the first question when they ask for it, as opposed to using the phrase main point, because they're not necessarily trying to prove something, It's just an idea. What was the idea that they were trying to get across to you? Not that matters. I'm just saying it's an interesting use of phrase here, because it doesn't seem like it's very, it actually seems like they're talking about the main conclusion, but they use the phrase main idea.
What do they want? I think get rid of these 4 categories. What do they want? Why did they write this passage?
Yeah.
As Ben is saying, sometimes the passage might be, Ben's saying, quote, informative. Mm-hmm. To me, that just means that they didn't have that strong of an opinion. But even on a passage where it seems like they didn't have that strong of an opinion, there almost always is one word or, a couple sprinkled in there where they'll just editorialize just a tiny bit. They'll just say, unfortunately, before some, they're like telling you a story and then they say, unfortunately, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And that one word by itself gives you an insight into what the author's thinking, like what they really want, like why they came here to tell you, why they if they said unfortunately, they came here to whine about that thing.
Yeah.
So Boy, I can't imagine sorting all the information into these 4 categories. Counter arguments. That's so weird too, counter arguments, because that assumes that there's always a main idea and counter arguments in the passage.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, what about a passage that's presenting 2 competing theories? Or 3 competing theories?
Yeah.
So then what's the main idea and what's the premise and what's the counter argument?
Yeah.
I don't know. These categories, first of all, 2 of them mean the exact same thing. And second, I just think they're too rigid to be useful. What do you do when you encounter a very common passage that doesn't really have all this stuff? All right. Step 2?
Yeah, shoulder shrug. Okay, step 2, play therapist. Figure out how the author feels about each component. I guess that's each category. For example, is the author providing a counter-argument to give you a neutral and balanced overview, or are they providing it so they can shred it to pieces later? In the case of dual passages, you've got couples therapy. Find the things that they agree on. Where does the relationship between the two fall apart, etc.? Okay, I don't really like this analogy for the reasons we were talking about earlier. I like clever analogies to get people thinking about the test, but I don't like couples therapy because one thing about the passages is that sometimes the authors have no awareness of the other author.
I would say always. It seems to me that
it seems like it is almost always, if always. I can't remember a specific example where the second one was in direct response to the first.
Never. So. Not that I know of. Not ever. It's never been. That's not true because, it's not like an agree or disagree question on the logical reasoning where they're actually speaking to each other. What's going on with the comparative reading is that you've got 2, they're like adjacent. Mm-hmm. They're tangentially related. They usually have, they always have some sort of an overlap. But that doesn't mean that they have to be aware of each other at all.
No, it's basically like the person who wrote the passage went into Google and searched up a topic like endangered tigers in, South Africa or something like that. And then a couple articles came up and they took excerpts from each of those articles and put them together. And it's like one article has no cognition of the other.
So this analogy falls apart because it's like couples therapy for people who don't know that they're in a relationship. It's like, hey, you guys may not realize this, but you've been married and living in the same house for 30 years.
I don't understand why I feel so lonely.
It's almost as if you never listen to me. No one ever listens to me. You got 2 people in like separate rooms of the house, just like rambling to the wall.
Who the fuck left the toilet up?
Okay.
Yeah. So turd.
I like the idea, it's clever, whatever. I like clever little things, but do you want to read the rest of this? There's more to it.
Sure. LSAC is trying to see. LSAC. Yeah, okay. LSAC is trying to see if you understand why a phrase or sentence was put where it was. If the main idea is shit, you need to know how all the components tie back in to make it a pile of shit. When you can do that, the correct answers are obvious. Whoa, wait, hold up. I don't feel like I'm analyzing the main point in reading comprehension like I am in logical reasoning. In logical reasoning, I'm like, okay, well, this is why it sucks. In reading comp, it's more like, look, it's in the longer argument, so there's going to be more shittiness about it, right? Like it's just going to be more gaps and more jumps and more assumptions, but I don't really care so much about that. I'm just like kind of like, okay, what is it? What are you trying to prove?
I have one counter argument to that, which is just there was one passage that I really thought was bullshit. Do you have any reading comp passages where you're just like, oh my god, what a pile of shit this is?
Yeah,
I have one.
Okay,
the one about the perfume.
Oh yeah. How it's like an art or something.
How it's like perfumery should be considered on the same level as like fine paintings or whatever.
Yeah.
Or symphonies.
Yeah.
I was just like rolling my eyes on that one.
Yeah.
But on 99, and I mean, I'm the biggest skeptic critic in the world, right? But on 99% of the reading comprehension passages, I come away from it going, okay, I see what you said there. I get it. I feel like I learned something. I understand your point. It's very rare that I'm like, you're full of shit. Sometimes on the comparative reading, maybe.
Well, even so, like, does that matter? Like, it's more just like, okay, this is what you're trying to prove, and then that's what they ask you. Because most questions...
I think that's what this correspondent is saying, right? They're saying, if the main idea is shit, you need to know how all the components tie back in. Basically, they're saying you can observe the argument even if you don't agree with the conclusion of the argument.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that, but I don't think you're actively trying to, like, say why it's bad, because there are almost no questions that ask you what the assumption is. They just ask you what... There are questions that say, what is the principle underlying the argument here? And it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of like an assumption question. Like, what does this person seem to be guided by? But, like, I don't know. That's a super rare question. The vast majority of questions are just what must be true given what was said. So knowing what was said is all that matters.
What did it say? What do they want?
Yep.
What are they trying to prove? And all this dividing it up into pieces and thinking about all the structure and how all the pieces and parts connect, it just doesn't seem necessary to me. It seems overly complicated. Read it carefully and figure out what the fuck they're trying to say.
If it helps you pay attention, then gosh, maybe.
More power to you, I suppose.
Yeah.
I can't say that it's a pearl that I'm going to be giving out as advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want to read the rest of this?
Sure. Thanks for all the hard work you two put into helping law applicants succeed. I hope we do enough to also help law applicants choose another path, but you're welcome. Don't pull any punches if this advice is crap. Hearing you guys insult people makes my day.
Aw.
Wait, is that a compliment or?
Yeah, that's a complisalt.
Complisalt. Thank you, Melanie. Yeah, I would just say, as you read the passage, ask yourself, what does this person want me to walk away with? What do they want me to know?
Yeah, why did they write this document?
Yep.
Why did this document land in our law office? What are we supposed to do with this? What are we supposed to do about it? Is action required? Are you advocating for action? Or are you just telling me that, Toni Morrison is awesome?
Yep.
What is it? Are you just like bragging about somebody or something? Or are you complaining about somebody or something? Or are you like advocating for a course of action? If you just get that one big picture, just really, if you can predict the main point,
yeah,
I think you got it. I think that's all you need to know about reading comp almost. Ben, do you think that we insult people?
I think people do feel insulted on occasion. I've heard people say, "Oh, you're going after their grammar or whatever." But I don't know. We're telling people what we think they did wrong. If they want to take offense, that's understandable. I do that too as a human being, but it's not necessarily the same as saying that someone is an idiot or something like that. It's more like what you have done here is not effective. I think that's what we're trying to do. We probably failed though.
I'm trying to be a better person. I mean, I'm not. I really am. Like I'm working on some shit, and I'm trying. I don't want to be a dick. I don't want to be like a hater. That's definitely not my intention on the show or when I'm teaching my classes. I feel like I have an obligation to tell the truth, and sometimes the truth is like hard to hear. I don't want to use that as an excuse for being an asshole. That's not my goal at all.
Yeah, I hear you.
But, if we're trying to get close to the truth, I don't know. Sometimes that's going to be challenging for people to understand.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I certainly never mean anything as an insult. I'm like trying to get to whatever the real underlying truth is. So, no, I do think that this tip is a turd, Melanie, but thank you for writing in. I don't know. I don't want to go around insulting people. That's not my intention.
No. I feel like we've mellowed out over time.
Yeah. I definitely have over the years.
I've started swearing more. Maybe that's not good.
Well, we'll see. I really am just trying to help, and that involves being the bearer of bad news sometimes. I was just talking to my class in San Francisco this weekend about how basically quitting is good. Quitting things is good. Find things that work for you where like you feel like you can't not be successful. Keep going in that direction.
Yeah.
And like when things are super difficult / super painful / you don't want to do them, like, it's totally fine to quit. Ben, you just talked about like talking people out of helping law applicants succeed. Yes, but frequently the best thing we can do is to help you succeed by not doing this.
Yeah.
Going in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
When we're insulting people's grammar, I mean, I don't think we're insulting their grammar. We are pointing out that their grammar is not good.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're doing that is because you're trying to be a lawyer, which is just like a professional writer. And so you need to confront the truth of your bad writing, basically, like you just need to fix it.
Maybe the lines get blurred when we start laughing, but sometimes it's hard not to laugh. We'll have to work on that.
Yeah, well, we're trying. I just hope everybody realizes that we're trying to help. Ready for University of New Mexico Law's singing dean?
Yes.
All right. This correspondent says, "Don't say it was from me because I'm still negotiating for more money. I got a full ride, but I want a stipend too because why not? So call me Kim, like from Better Call Saul. I think she went to UNM Law." You ever see Better Call Saul?
Nope.
It's a fucking fantastic show. It's one of the best shows I think that's on TV right now. It's a spinoff of Breaking Bad. Did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
I tried.
Okay. Breaking Bad also terrific drama / comedy, but Better Call Saul is more about lawyer shit. And it's just a very beautiful show. Kim is played by this Rhea Seehorn, I think her name is, and she's like fantastic. I think they're about to do the 4th season of Better Call Saul. Anyway, if you're looking for a Netflix binge, maybe try Better Call Saul from the beginning. I do think she went to UNM Law because this show was set in New Mexico. The email says, so this is Kim, pseudonym Kim. "The University of New Mexico Law has an admitted students dinner." And there's a link here to their agenda, which I have up. It's pretty funny, Ben, if you want to take a peek at it.
Yeah.
It says in the email, "The dean's going to be serenading the students." Wow. But in all honesty, their tuition is the cheapest I've seen for residents. Parentheses, I only applied to West Coast schools. And tuition went down from 2018 to 2019. It was $8,699 a semester in 2018, and it went down, Ben, to $8,532 a semester in 2019.
That's very interesting.
Okay. I mean, it went down $167 a semester, which is
not much. But this is
it's
still
like
low,
2%.
Huh? So this is like $9,000 a semester, so $18,000 a year. That's low, right? This is an in-state school. I guess it's an in-state school, but
yeah. So I pulled up their 509. Of course, the 509s are like, oh, that must be for resident, because it's got the 509 has listed $8,500 a semester resident and $18,000 $1,800 a semester for non-resident. Mm-hmm. So maybe this is a New Mexico resident who's writing in. Looking at the grants and scholarships, they give 14% of the class half to full tuition, 1% of the class full tuition, and 5% of the class more than full tuition. So if Kim's already got the full ride and she's negotiating to want to be one of those, 1 out of 20 in the school are getting more than a full ride. So Kim's like, hey, I want to be one of those 5, or one of those 1 out of 20, one of those 5%, which makes sense.
Wait, you're seeing more than 5% is more than full? I'm not seeing that. Are you looking at 2018, 2019?
I'm looking at 2019.
Oh, I just did the Google search. So you must be on the... Oh, I see. You scrolled down. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah, 5%. Wow. So in 2018, it was 0. But in 2019, 17 applicants got more than full.
Yeah.
4 got full. In 2018, 0 got full.
These are numbers for the entire class, too. Or like for the entire school. So that actually means, doesn't it, Ben, that those scholarships, those more than full tuitions were all in the 2018-2019 class, like the brand new class.
Yeah.
Because they weren't showing up on the 2018 509. Yeah, so if it's 5% of the entire school, but it was 0% last year, then that means, it seems to me, that it's 15% of the new class. Unless they're giving... That's assuming that they keep their class sizes the same. It's also assuming that they don't give any 2L or 3L like big scholarships.
I'm struggling to see why they would do that though.
They do that sometimes to keep people from transferring out. Yeah. So they did have one JD transfer out last year.
And they had 3 come in.
Right. So it's possible that they're offering incentives for people to not... Well, but that's only one person though. So... Well, who knows? They could have given 10 scholarships to keep people, right? You can renegotiate your deal after your first year if you really kick ass in your first year. That's not something that anyone should plan on because it's hard to kick ass your first year. But it is possible that you could get a deal in your second and third year if you really crush it in your first year.
Yeah.
This is when all the listeners are like, yeah, of course, that's going to be me. I didn't get it done in undergrad grades, and I didn't get it done on the LSAT, but I'm going to kill it in my first year of law school.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but like only the top 10% of the class is going to be able to get that deal, and everybody in the incoming class thinks they're going to be part of the top 10%. So, anyway, did you check out this awesome PDF that they sent out, University of New Mexico?
No, you mean the menu?
It says El Menu. El Menu on the top. I don't know how to say that in Spanish. I keep saying it like in French, kind of. Anyway, it starts at 12:30 with a toast. Our dean and vice dean will greet you personally, toasting your achievement with a refreshing treat. Sip it along your early bird tour designed to highlight our unique flavors. Your tour concludes with a flight of New Mexican specialties. Enjoy them as you ask student ambassadors what's really on the menu at UNM Law.
So wait, are they going to give you they're going to give you some drinks?
It sounds like they're boozing it up on this tour, which,
and then
hey, they're trying to sell you on a, extraordinarily expensive purchase, the most expensive, even at one of the cheaper law schools, at least if you're a resident. It's a cheap law school, and they are still trying to, butter you up.
Well, this could
liquor you up.
This could be viewed negatively if you are. When I took my what was it? My ethics classes that were required to take the bar or something. I remember they said that lawyers is the white collar profession that suffers most from substance abuse.
Yes.
So here, they're just, not that I care that much, but
I'm very conscious of it right now because I just did a mostly sober January.
Okay.
I had a pre-scheduled golf trip with some of my buddies where I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm going to drink during those 3 days when I'm, on the golf course all the time, because why not? But I mostly didn't drink for all of January, and every time I do that, I get like very conscious of how pervasive, alcohol is in our culture, and just how basically bad it is for you. And I'm reading a really good book actually about sobriety. My friend Laura McCowan, who I went to business school with in Boston, she wrote a book about sobriety. It's called "We Are the Luckiest," and so I've been reading that also this month while I have been mostly sober. Anyway, I can see how, especially sober people or people who just don't drink a lot, would be very turned off by this, like booze fest invitation. But then it made me laugh because on Sunday, I was teaching in San Francisco. Yes, I had a class scheduled on Super Bowl Sunday because I don't give a shit. But I'm teaching my class in San Francisco while the San Francisco 49ers are playing in the Super Bowl. And in the hotel where I teach in Union Square, the bar was open downstairs and they were watching the game. Yeah. And so like at 3:30, it was the last hour and a half of class. And I decided to take the class downstairs and buy them a drink. Just like I do that sometimes as like a thank you, for supporting my little business or whatever. And I was I was very worried about it because I was like, well, I don't want to like insult people by, foisting booze upon them or like I was wondering if it was like distasteful or whatever to do this as part of an LSAT class. I can see some people being like, oh my God, booze, and like, oh my, no, never,
Yeah.
But of the like 20 people that were there, I was like, hey, don't worry. There's like sodas and water, and you can have whatever that you don't feel obligated to drink alcohol or whatever.
Yeah.
But 20 out of 20 people lined up and got an alcoholic beverage. Like every single one of them in the class was drinking. So I was
interesting. Yeah.
I know. I was like, I assumed there would at least be a few people that were on the wagon or just don't drink, period. And nope. Every single one of those future lawyers just lined right up for some booze. Maybe it's because it was the Super Bowl. They were
Maybe
partying.
so, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I'd expect some. I don't know.
No, it was 100%. They were very pleased to get a free cocktail. So, I don't know. Do you want to read any more of this?
Nope. But if
they're
you
going around, they're doing a mock class. They're hear from current students as they discuss the heat and spice of law school life.
Yeah, someone had fun making this menu. I mean, it's got like, what are these peppers? These jalapeno
chili peppers, green and red chili peppers. It's got this whole theme of segundo plato, second course. It's got this whole like the Spanish and English bit, and then it's got the crazy fonts that make it almost unreadable.
Yeah,
plus the
it
full
definitely
justification.
looks like a menu. Yeah,
yeah.
At a Mexican restaurant, I'd be like, huh? I'm always like trying to figure out what am I ordering here.
The last point is cervezas y más. Enjoy New Mexico's best beer and wine at New Mexico's only law school. Who else has their dean on guitar and vocals at a fiesta like this? Join in and continue your conversations and questions with our proud alumni, student and faculty leaders. That's
there's a lot of drinks here because I mean they're having how do you say this aperitif?
Aperitif.
That's
the after. But they're not actually. It's so
drink,
dumb because they're not actually
before
eating.
Your meal. Yeah. Well, they say isn't an aperitif something you take before you eat?
I don't think so. Notice that they've got the aperitivo at the top and then the aperitif at the. I don't fucking know. Point is, they're gonna booze you up with a toast at 12:30. Man, that's a long time in between, by the way. 12:30 a toast, and then not till 5:00 till you get to the cervezas. That's 4.5 hours. That's a long time if you're separating booze like that. People are going to be falling asleep during the second and third course on this menu. But I don't know. What do you think about the dean on guitar and vocals? That's a good reason to choose a law school, right?
Sounds desperate.
It's just silly. I mean, whatever. Being silly,
right? Like seriously,
good, I guess,
they're probably thinking like, "Hey, we gotta do something." They're like, "Yeah, why don't you sing?" They're like, "Oh, that's a great idea." I mean, clearly they're searching for something.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for University of New Mexico.
Thanks.
And thanks, Kim, for writing in. Next one. Check this out. I don't think we want to say the name, but this is one of our personal statement clients. And look what they sent her.
Okay. Do you want me to read this?
Maybe read her email?
Sure. Hey, I applied to Cleveland State very early on as a safety school, and they framed part of my personal statement. Whoa. We're going to quote you and send it to you. Maybe
it's
this
framed.
Oh my, a frame is so freaking ugly. Maybe this is common from law schools and they do it for all their students, but I was impressed. Okay, so it worked for her. Sharing to say thanks for your help on it. At least I got one school's attention. Oh man. Well, okay, so does she want us to read? She took a picture of the framed.
I think let's not read the actual quote, but they took 3 sentences from her personal statement. They put it in all caps and space with the font is terrible. It's like all caps.
The font is terrible.
And the letters are all spread out from each other, so it's like they made it as hard to read as possible. And then they have the 3 sentences and then her name and then at the bottom and then with some ugly, what is that in the background? It's a gavel.
It's a gavel. Everybody thinks if you can throw a gavel in there, somehow it's now like law.
A glass. It looks like an etched glass globe.
Globe with Europe as the center.
I don't know what else the other shit is in the back. There's some other things, items.
It looks like a scale, honestly, in the back there.
That would make sense. The scales of justice.
Oh my God.
And then at the bottom, it has an it's like an advertisement. Learn law, live justice. Cleveland State University. CM Law. Cleveland Marshall College of Law.
This just proves they have money to burn. I mean, really, they framed this and sent it to her.
Yeah, this is where your tuition dollars are going to go. If you pay to go to this school, you're paying for next year. Every single person that they want to admit, they're going to take a quote from their personal statement and they're going to fucking put it on a stupid piece of paper like this and put a frame around it and then pay to ship it to you.
Yeah.
And so this worked apparently on our correspondent. At least she was interested enough to go. She thinks she wants to go check out their school now. So it worked. I guess you can't argue with whatever success, but I don't know. It just seems it's like just a very annoying marketing gimmick and complete waste of money.
Yeah.
Can you imagine framing that? Or I mean, not framing. Could you imagine putting that up on your wall? Like if you were her.
Oh, if they were like, yeah, it's weird.
It's a quote from herself.
It's a quote from yourself.
She's going to hang it on her wall.
It's weird. But I mean, just the whole, like how it looks, it looks horrible. I hate gavels. I mean, I just have a huge aversion to gavels. It's like when you go into like Getty Images or something and it's like, oh, law. And it's like, they show a picture of a gavel and somehow they look ugly. They're like, their weight is disproportional, so I have a very negative association with that. And like you said, the font is weird as fuck. So
90% of lawyers, the only time they're ever going to be anywhere adjacent to a gavel is like at their swearing in ceremony, maybe.
Yeah, or their own like traffic violation that they decide to go to court for.
Yeah. I just want to know who actually puts this on their wall. Like, ugh. It's just an ugly, it's like a, what is it? It's almost like a confidence game. It's like they're just like so clearly trying to manipulate you. by, oh, we're going to give you this compliment of like, your words were so powerful to us that we decided to frame them.
Wow.
Now you should come pay us whatever $20,000 a semester because clearly you're a beautiful lawyer writer. I don't know.
Dude, here we go. This is our new idea. So people write into the show. We take excerpts from their email, we frame it and send it back to them.
Yeah, along with like, here's our sign up for a $10,000 tutoring package.
No, just there you go, or some sort of podcast sponsored service. Yeah, for the opportunity to visit us in New York City.
I mean, I think the takeaway is just that it's a buyer's market. I don't care if applications are up. It's if you have the right perspective on this thing, it's always a buyer's market because there's so many schools competing to give you scholarships. Mm-hmm. And if you just decide that you're going to, choose to take a scholarship, these schools are going to be falling all over themselves they're desperate.
Yeah.
They're desperate for talent. So if you've got some talent, you should be able to arrange a real good deal for yourself.
Yep.
How many of these? It's just. Okay, now I have to look up the Cleveland State 509 because what I really want to know is how many offers did you make versus how many actually matriculated? Because I have to do the math on how many of these garbage framed personal statement quotes you're probably sending out. Here it is. Completed applications last year. Wow, this is a tiny little school. 698 applications, and they offered admission to 335. So they offered 48% of their applicants admission. And then from that, they get a 43% enrollment rate, which that's pretty high. I think it's because this school is just like kind of unknown and in Cleveland, and you probably have ties to Cleveland if you're applying to this law school.
Yeah,
it would be my guess, or at least like Ohio. But so hey, maybe it's working, Ben. 43% enrollment rate from offers of admission. I assume that they're sending one of these framed personal statement things to every single person that they admit. And it's
already.
And it's bumping up their. Wow. Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, Nathan. On episode 220, I think it was, you guys discussed a diversity statement about a gentleman that had a STEM degree. I was wondering what your general recommendation is for people with STEM degrees, semicolon, include a diversity statement or don't. I figured this would be obvious from the transcripts, but not sure how closely they look at your undergrad except for the grades. P.S. I'm a nurse and I will be in my 8th year of professional full-time work by application time. So my, quote, diversity should be apparent by my resume too. I don't want to bombard them with, quote, look at me statements. Thanks a bunch. What advice do you have here for Anonymous?
Well, I would say that if you have something to add to your personal statement that's interesting and new, then it's a good angle because I don't think that many people are applying with STEM degrees.
I would just wonder what your personal statement's written about, because if I would hope that you're writing your personal statement about your nursing career.
Yeah, and so
you've been doing it for 8 years.
It's done, right? I mean,
so then, yeah, in that case, you're already telling them that you're a medical professional. I don't know that the diversity statement is required to point them to the fact that you have a STEM degree. They already know that.
Yeah, and it might just come across as weird that you're pointing out the obvious. My only thought would be is if you have something to say about that, like maybe you talk about your career and work you've done in your personal statement, and then in your diversity statement, you explicitly talk about the perspective that you've gained, but that's starting to get kind of, I don't know, touchy-feely. So
I think if you keep it
sure.
short, it's not going to be insulting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't, as far as I could see a grade addendum. Like if you're pointing specifically to the fact that you did a BS degree,
mm-hmm.
You know, if you're going to point out, hey, this 3.3 in my STEM undergrad degree was actually honors,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that you could justify a grade addendum for that. It seems weird to be pointing to STEM in a diversity statement. That doesn't quite make sense to me. You're supposed to be talking about diverse perspectives. I suppose, yeah, I don't know. I guess STEM gives you a diverse perspective. Okay, we're agreeing that if it's not something new, you just don't want to be rehashing shit that's already in your personal statement.
Yeah.
And I hope that you're writing about your professional experiences in your personal statement, because 8 years of nursing, man, you've got to have awesome stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Also, why are you going
leaving?
to law school? Yeah.
Jinx. No, and I think that might need to be tangentially addressed in your personal statement, like on some level, because there's going to be some head scratching for legit schools.
I mean, the number of law school grads who wish they would have done nursing instead, in retrospect, it's just so much more of a solid career for so many people.
Yeah.
Like nurses are so highly in demand. You can make your own schedule. You can work anywhere in the country. You've been already successful. I understand that you're not for whatever reason, you're not happy where you are. But could you consider like just nursing in a different capacity? It seems like you're throwing away, I don't know. Maybe your intention is to do lawyering in some sort of a medical, maybe you have a career, a clear path ahead of you.
Yeah.
I would just say you better know people who have followed this same path. Like, please tell me that you know lawyers who went from nursing into lawyering, or at least lawyers who are giving you counsel about like what you're going to get yourself into here, that you're going to be able to do something useful.
Yeah.
Because if you're just like fantasy, I don't like nursing anymore, I want a career change, I'm going to go be a medical lawyer. Oh boy. I hope you're not going to regret this.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one?
Yeah.
All right.
Hello. Firstly, thanks for the podcast. I'm a mom, first generation law school applicant in my 30s with a master's, and I work full time. Your podcast has definitely been a go-to resource for me on this journey, and I've learned a ton so far. Cool. You're welcome. I am applying to a 4-year Flex JD program, Touro College of New York. Okay. Which has rolling admissions, which is pretty common. That's pretty universal. When I asked about the start of the application cycle, they said that it begins in January each year. I'm taking the LSAT in March and again possibly in April. Just wondering what you think in terms of applying early for the best possible scholarship amount. I debate between applying for next year instead. The only way I can go after a JD is by taking advantage of the Flex program and getting as high a scholarship as possible. If you have the time to give me your input, I thank you. All right. I don't know when the applications start for a January program.
Well, I don't know that that's what they actually said either. Reading her thing again, they're claiming that the cycle starts in January.
Oh, they're saying the application starts in January? Oh, I see what
it seems to me. And does it say... I thought it said on... Oh, yeah. Okay. So from the 509, under academic calendar, months students may begin studying law August, January, and May. and they confer degrees in January, June, July, and September. So they seem like they have a totally different deal going on.
Got it.
Right. Their schedule just doesn't seem, it seems like they're, and especially because this person is applying for their flex program. So it's clearly not the same schedule as other schools.
Oh, so she's wondering if she should apply with the cycle that has started just a month ago, or wait and apply in January of next year.
Yeah, the answer is we don't know, because we just don't know how they do things with this flex program. I mean, I think get your best LSAT score, right? That's step one.
And then decide, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it might be obvious at that point.
However long it takes. But they do have listed here application deadlines on April 30, July 31, and December 31. Mm-hmm. We could probably infer the start dates for that. You can start in August, January, and May. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing that the April 30 deadline is to start in May. The July 31 deadline is probably to start in August. They're like taking applications up till the very last minute, is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
The December 31st deadline is to start in January. So it depends on when you want to start. I can't imagine, I don't think applying before that April 30 deadline and intending to start in May is probably not your best bet.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, with this kind of a program, I don't know. Let's look at the scholarship information. They're giving 78% of their class some sort of grants. They're giving 45% less than half tuition. They're giving 31% half to full tuition. And they're giving 1% full tuition with no more than full tuition scholarships. So this just isn't the kind of school that gives a lot of full rides.
Yeah.
They do give about a third of their class half or more. They also give tons of conditional scholarships, and they eliminate more than half of them.
Ooh.
Reduce or eliminate more than half of those conditional scholarships. So this school, yeah, I mean, they don't give that many scholarships, and they take away a shit ton of the ones that they do give up. Mm-hmm. So you just got to be, I don't know, you got to have your eyes open coming to a school like this. And they're charging per semester $25,000. If that really is a per semester. These things are so broken. You'll have to ask them what their actual tuition is, but I don't know.
Step one, get your best score ever and then apply. And if it's at the end of the cycle, just wait till the next one.
Yeah, and then look really carefully at that offer. I mean, if they don't give you the right offer, just say, okay, fine, I'm reapplying for the next, like just tell them, good, thank you for this offer. Can you increase it? If it's not a good enough offer, you say, I'm not going to law school.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going right now. I'll wait.
I am a little worried about your situation, though. You said you have a master's. I'm curious what you got your master's in. It sounds like you're not necessarily leveraging that, so you may have made a decision to study something that you're not utilizing. I can't believe I just said that word, but you made a decision to get a degree in something that you may not be using. You might be. I mean, you work full time, and maybe that's full-time work based on your master's. But my concern is, are you now deciding to get a JD, and could you end up in the same problem? Like you're going to school and not being able to leverage that education profitably if it turns out to not be something you want to do. I don't know.
Master's programs generally are just like kind of a scam.
Yeah.
It's like I have 2 masters, so I can vouch for, the fact that they're a scam. I don't know. I have a master's in journalism. It doesn't make you a journalist. Like you'd be much better off just getting a job in a newsroom somewhere and like being an actual journalist instead of getting a master's in journalism. It doesn't like impress anybody.
True.
I think that about the only thing it's used for is to teach junior college or something.
Yeah, I guess what I'm worried about is if you got a master's in journalism and it doesn't help you, fine. But are you now pursuing like journalism? Then clearly you studied something that you made a decision about something that you were interested in, right? I'm worried that she's deciding to go to law school and may not end up being interested in it. So.
Oh, well, yeah. But I mean, that's okay too, right? Like the way to find happiness in your career is to try a bunch of shit and see what sticks. So if her master's, if it was in whatever and it didn't stick, whatever, fine. She's moving on to the next thing. But yeah, I mean, obviously be very careful about choosing another grad degree. If that's what you're saying, Ben, just take your time and be sure that law is actually the right thing for you rather than just like getting another degree for no reason.
There are a lot of ways to make money in this world. So if your main goal is to make money, like it doesn't necessarily make sense to put down a bunch of money, spend 4 years of your life, and then start that kind of career.
Let me make that a little stronger statement.
Yeah.
One of the best ways to make money is to not spend money on a graduate degree.
Yeah.
I mean, let's start with the 100,000 plus that you can quote make by not going into debt, $100,000.
Yeah.
So, if and hey, I mean, really, generally speaking, if you're pursuing a JD because you think it's a good financial decision, I think it's not in most cases. I don't think it is.
No, I think what people are hoping for, if your goal is to make money and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I just go to law school and then I leave and then I can get a job as an attorney. Well, you're making a couple assumptions here. One, even if you recognize and you've grappled with the fact that most attorneys or most law students who graduate from law school don't go into that top tier, right? They don't end up leaving and making 160,000. They leave and they make around 60 or 50. Let's just say 60 to round this up a little bit. Even if you're like, okay, I'm going to go get a job that pays $60,000, it's not a shoo-in. So like, I think you're thinking, oh, I put down this money and now I have this degree and that's going to like, let me go out and get a job. No. You're going to have to do just as much hustling now for any other job. Say, go look for job openings, like in maybe a field that you're not familiar with. But that's exactly the same thing that's happening with the JD. You're going to come out of law school and you're still going to be a newbie. And so I think that people are trading like, present pain. They're like, oh, I'll go through this whole program. I'll put down this money so that I can have like an easier path once I get out. I think the only thing that's easier about it is that you can kind of see how it might come to pass. But the reality is, I don't think it's any easier than just trying to like start knocking doors and figure out, hey, who's hiring? What are they hiring for? How can I fit into that company and get started there and then move my way up?
You can make a lot of progress in that 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. You could be making a lot of money, and probably maybe in the six figures. Person
A takes 3 or 4 years to work on their career, just getting jobs, getting promoted.
Yeah.
Without debt. Person B spends 3 or 4 years in this weird academic competition devoid from like reality of legal practice.
Yep.
And goes $150,000 into debt.
Or more.
Which one are we betting on to be in a better financial position 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Even the ones who are successful as lawyers are not going to be probably back to break even 10 years from now. I mean, some people are going to make $200,000 right out of law school, aggressively pay down their debt, be making $300,000 after 5 or 6 years, and be, in a different stratosphere. But that's like 10% of all applicants are going to be like that. Well,
the 200 sounds high to me, but
starting salary, 180,
160, something like that. But those are the exceptions. Yeah, that's not the norm. If you're
That's only for people who want to practice big law, to be really clear. That's only for people who want to practice big law. And even people who do want to practice big law, half of those people end up washing out because they can't handle the hours or the stress or the drama or whatever.
Yeah.
And for the people who are making a more, pedestrian $70,000 a year, $80,000 a year, your undergraduate degree can probably get you a job making 50 or 60.
And then if you work your way up.
Yeah. And instead you're going to spend all this money and all this time to get out and try to make 70 or 80. I mean, then there's a lot of people who make a lot less than that with their JD.
Yeah.
Just the cost benefit analysis, right? The return on investment, it just doesn't make sense. So follow our advice. Don't pay for law school, and you'll be just fine. With this, to go back to this email about Turo and the Flex program specifically, what will you do if suppose they give you a near full ride? What will you do after your first year if they take that full ride away from you?
Yeah.
Because I think you should drop out. If you're committed to that, I think you're going to be fine. Like I'm not going to lose sleep at night if that's your plan.
Yeah.
I'm going on a full ride or damn near a full ride. And if they take away the full ride, if I'm not, succeeding enough academically to keep my scholarship, then I'm going to drop out because I just can't risk spending all this money on a degree that, very likely is not going to give me a return on my investment.
Yeah. Maybe we need to clarify when we say don't pay for law school, we mean until you're finished.
Yeah. I mean, not in your second year either, or your third year either.
I think people look at they're like, okay, sweet, I got a full ride. I'm not paying for law school. Wait, you might be. So you're not following the advice. No,
you need to take an oath that you're not gonna pay for law school at all, and that includes your second or third year. If you're not doing well, like if you can't get the grades required to keep your scholarship,
yeah,
you're just probably not. It's just probably not the right fit for you. I mean, the proof. Hey, by the end of your first year, you've taken 8 classes now. And if your grades are like less than the middle of the class, lower than the middle of the class, and you've lost that scholarship, I don't know, like they're telling you something. That you just might be barking up against the wrong tree. Now, if you truly love it, then that's one thing. But if you're hating it, like I did, and they take away your scholarship, there's just nothing wrong with dropping out.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Daisy's personal statement, and she has no preamble. She just dives right into it. So, sweet. Daisy, thank you for submitting yourself for the meat grinder. We will try to be kind. If we start laughing, it's because life is absurd, not because we're insulting you. I don't know.
Yeah, we're just enjoying what you've decided to give us.
Here we go. While sitting in my office at work, the receptionist stopped by with the mail for the day. Bad for a few reasons. You can go first.
Yeah, well, I mean, my first issue is why are we talking about the receptionist and what the receptionist is doing rather than what you're doing? Yeah, also,
it's the most mundane possible thing. Oh my God, mail delivery?
Yeah, it's a bad topic. It's a bad subject.
It's also a bad sentence. Yeah.
I think you're trying to say, while I was sitting in my office at work, but actually this is a dangling modifier, which means it's modifying the receptionist. So it technically means while the receptionist was sitting in your office at work, the reception also magically stops by with mail.
Yeah.
That's
which
cool.
Your reader sorts that out for you and understands what you meant. But you don't want the reader to have to sort that out. You're going to the reader's going to just read that and go, oh, so that's a broken sentence. It's your first sentence of your personal statement, and it's not a good sentence.
Yeah. So this actually fails topic, or like subject, topic, and grammar.
Other than that.
It's got words.
Okay, so we're cutting that first sentence.
Sorry. Bye.
To my surprise, there was mail from the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, regarding a long-time pending case. Okay. I immediately opened it to find a, quote, request for more evidence notice. They were requesting the criminal records of my client, ZP. It's an abbreviation. Keep it anonymous, ZP. USCIS provided 60 days to respond, comma, if not, comma, they would deny my client's case. That's a broken sentence. What is that, a comma splice?
Provided.
It needs to be a period after respond.
Yeah. Yep. It's like a run-on. Yep.
USCIS provided 60 days to respond, period. If we did not, they would deny my client's case.
If not. Yeah.
Okay. In the past, I had received numerous RFEs with shorter deadlines, so I was certain we would win this case and secure legal residency for ZP. As the lead case manager and legal assistant of our firm's crime victims, sexual assault, and human trafficking department, I consulted with the lead attorney to determine our plan of action. I think that of is bad. Shouldn't that be for? As the lead case manager and legal assistant of our firm's crime victims? I don't know. That's just a weird...
Well, it's weird. It's also like a very long department title. So it's like you kind of get lost. Like I would just choose one. Why is it crime victims, sexual assault, and human trafficking department? Isn't this like citizenship stuff? I'm confused. I also don't like consulting. Like I don't want to hear about you consulting with attorneys. I just want you making decisions and doing them. Like you might have consulted, and then what did you decide to do after that consultation? I guess is my preference. I don't like these like acronyms either, RFEs. I understand you just said it, but I would just say requests. I received numerous requests with shorter deadlines.
Yeah. I'm worried about the theme of this being surprised by this request.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to be surprised by shit. I want you to anticipate things and win. And so it seems like this passive, like, oh, what? We're getting this request for information about the criminal records of my client? Who knew that they would ever want that information?
Yeah.
I'm worried that you're setting yourself up to look naive here. Like you should have known that this was going to happen. You should have been prepared for this. We want you to be active, not passive. So like this is already, you're just reacting to this mail that came into your office. It's like you were just chilling. And then, oh, here's a thing to do. Mail came. I don't know. Okay. Next paragraph. By the way, we have just the paragraphs are blocks with no indents. We're going to indent those paragraphs, aren't we?
Yeah, I would prefer that. And
I would
make
also,
them shorter.
Yeah, I was just going to say these paragraphs are real long. It's a total of 4 paragraphs, and I think it could be 8 easily. Okay, second paragraph. The following day, I met with ZP, that's the client, to explain the RFE, that's a request for evidence, and additional costs that would ensue. ZP shared that she was struggling financially and could not pay the legal fees. This was ZP's last chance for legal relief, so I pleaded to the attorney to continue the case pro bono, to which she agreed. I don't like the to which she agreed there.
Yeah.
That could have just been, I pleaded with the attorney to continue the case pro bono, period. She agreed, period. That would be fine.
Yeah. This is interesting. I'd be careful, like, overselling this, because I'm assuming that you're actually getting paid. So this is kind of like, look at me, I'm a hero. I asked my attorney to do this pro bono, and the attorney agreed. Look at what I'm doing for this client while you continue on to get paid. It's almost like you're not really the one doing the heroic thing here. It can kind of seems a little strange. I don't know. I'm not opposed to it. I just don't know that I would sell it like I pleaded to the attorney. I would just say, given ZP's financial situation, I asked the attorney whether we could pursue this pro bono.
Yeah, you're not working pro bono. That's a good point. It's like ultimately the attorney or the firm is the one that's actually doing the generous thing here.
Yeah. Like it's not just free. They're also paying you to work on it.
Right. And obviously your heart's in the right place, that, you're not doing this in order to make money for yourself.
Yeah.
But you are getting paid one way or the other. And this attorney is probably not. Or, if they're a partner, they're not.
Yeah.
They're agreeing to take on work that they're not getting paid for. So, yeah. Anyway, I immediately began my research into ZP's criminal record. ZP didn't have any information regarding her criminal record. So I searched through various county records until I found her conviction. Earlier we've got a numerous, and now we have a various.
It's like you're overselling.
Those words don't do anything. You could just say I searched through county records. Where was the numerous? I'm sure that word could have just been dropped off.
Well, it also kind of sends a red flag, like you're trying too hard to make it seem like you're doing so much work, and then you have it's the exact opposite reaction. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Earlier it said I had received numerous RFEs with shorter deadlines. It could have just said I had received RFEs with shorter deadlines.
Yeah.
You don't need to, it's overselling with that adjective. Okay, so you searched through county records, you found her conviction. I requested her records from the clerk's office, which capitalized, which I don't think it should be, unless it's like the proper name of a certain clerk's office, and located her probation officer's information to request a letter that corroborated her compliance with the sentencing terms. That sentence. I mean, what's going on there, Ben? She had to get the probation officer's contact information so that she could then request a letter to corroborate that the client had complied with the sentencing terms. But you're trying to do way too much in that one sentence. That's just not a good sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. Shorter sentences. Everybody needs to write shorter sentences.
Yep.
Following these requests, I set up appointments with ZP's employer, church pastor, counselor, family, and friends to collect affidavits attesting to her good moral character. Some were Spanish speakers, so I translated their affidavits to English.
Great. Short sentence telling us what you're doing. I like this stuff.
Oh, all this stuff, like I did this, I did that, I did this other thing. That's all great. And I mean, instead of telling me that you're fluent in Spanish, you just show me you translating documents or translating interviews.
Yeah, that's badass. Right? Yeah, this is really good. Like, you could definitely see someone saying, like, I don't know, I'm fluent in Spanish. And
yeah, I am instead of I did.
Yep.
Right? And so this is just like, you're now showing me instead of telling me. And I'm like, okay, this is a fluent Spanish speaker. Great.
Yep.
It's just so much better when you show me you using it, especially in a legal context, instead of you like bragging about your abilities. Okay, so that's good. We got some good stuff here. Once I had all the necessary documents, my supervising attorney allowed me to draft an argument as to why ZP merited an approval despite her criminal conviction. The attorney reviewed and signed off on the packet. We could probably tweak that a little bit, huh, Ben? I'm guessing you're going to say it's too sort of passive, like the attorney is allowing you to do this thing. instead of just talking about what you did.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
I don't think it almost actually kind of sends a signal like you're nervous about what you did. Like, look, I got approved and I did it. We don't need it. You can just say, hey, this is what I did.
You can say you wrote it.
Yeah.
And that the attorney signed off on it. Okay, now here's where we get, I think we're getting back into trouble here at the beginning of the third paragraph.
Okay.
I was surprised. Again, I don't want you to be surprised. I was surprised.
It's also just a mental state, right? I'm not necessarily interested.
You're telling me how you felt, yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised when 6 months later we received a notice of intent to deny from USCIS for ZP's case, stating that ZP was inadmissible to obtain the visa because she had not completed the terms of her sentence since she was still on probation.
Is that since being used temporarily or as another because?
That means because.
Yeah, I don't like two becauses in one sentence. Also, just FYI, instead of saying ZP, just come up with a name and put it in quotes the first time you use it.
Or how about my
Sarah
client?
Or my client. Yeah, I mean, if you want to use a name, I'm okay with it. But I think if you put in quotes the first time you use it, it's obvious that it's a fake name.
Yeah. So here you're now like you're losing, right? Or at least you're back on your heels here. Mm-hmm. You wrote this, like think about what a skeptical reader is going to think. You fought to take this case. Now you're losing this. You wrote the draft yourself, and now you're losing. Mm-hmm. And you're surprised that you're losing. And the more cynical reader is like, yeah, what do you expect? I don't know. It's like, well, yeah, you took a bad case and you tried to do it yourself, and now you're losing. I don't know. It's just not what I want. We got to get to the winning part, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unbeknownst to them, so that's unbeknownst to USCIS.
Which is actually it, technically, but yeah.
ZP had recently completed her probation and all the conditions of her sentence. Which I'm like, well, why didn't you put that in your brief?
Yeah, this is not sounding good.
This is making it sound like you caused this problem.
Yeah, you just told us that you were allowed to draft the argument.
If you made the argument, then we want it to win. We don't want it to be like, I drafted the argument, and then, surprise, 6 months later, we're losing now. Oops.
Forgot to include some information.
Right. Unbeknownst to them, it's your job to make sure that they know. That's literally your job as an attorney. You're supposed to be advocating for your client. So you should have anticipated this.
You should say, hey, ZP will finish all the requirements of her probation by April, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you should be pointing back to the document that they already have. And you should be like, as I said, on the cover letter and in page 1, the probation is going to be completed, and it has been completed by the date that I told you it would be completed.
Yep.
Anyways, instead of that, again, I requested records from the clerk's office and her probation officer and submitted a response to the RFE. This is the part I really hate. Now, I was certain ZP's case would be approved.
However, not sounding Scott. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
Yeah. However, 4 months later, I received a final denial notice for ZP's case.
Oh, shit.
So in one sentence, you're certain you're winning, and in the next sentence, you're getting a final denial notice. I get that you're trying to present a story.
Yeah.
You're wanting to take the reader on a journey. But it I don't know, you're just coming off like a well-meaning, I don't know, it's like naive, well-meaning but naive.
Well, okay, so Daisy, you've taken our advice and given us facts as to things that are happening.
That's good.
But I would probably skip over these facts. These are the kind of facts where I'd say after getting denied, we decided to appeal. And we wouldn't know why they were denied. That happens all the time. and then you could start focusing on what you did again to fix the problem.
The part I especially hate is I was certain ZP's case would be approved.
Yeah, that's just shows, you're not like nervous enough. Attorneys are nervous as fuck.
If you were trying to sell me on the idea that you don't know what you're getting yourself into, that would be the perfect type of thing to put in there. Because it just makes it look like you're like a well-meaning do-gooder who thinks that this administrative officer is going to make decisions that are aligned with your sense of justice. And the truth is that these people who are making these decisions are basically cops, and you need to expect them to be trying to deny your client.
Yeah.
You know, you're not doing a good enough job advocating for your client if you're expecting to win. You should be expecting every single possible way that you can lose.
Yeah.
And addressing those in advance so that you're not surprised. But like, you were surprised to get this letter in the first place. Now you're surprised that your whatever it was that you drafted, you're surprised that your argument got denied. Then you went and got, like, passively, because they told you, hey, you need to show to us that the client fulfilled the probation terms. So now you go passively, oh, okay, let me get you that information. And you send it back to them. And then now you're surprised again that they deny you. I don't know. Anyway, this left our office with no other option but to file an appeal with USCIS within the given 33 days. So passive again, right? ZP, agonized by the news, proclaimed not having the willpower to continue fighting for her case. How would you rewrite that, Ben?
I don't know.
If you were going to keep the idea.
Yeah.
The proclaimed not having the willpower is a real weird verb tense.
Proclaimed to not have the willpower to continue fighting? She claimed. She sighed. Saying,
claimed that she did not have the willpower.
Claimed that she did not have the willpower.
Not that weird proclaimed not having the willpower. I don't know. That's just a strange construction. Okay, so the client's agonized. Oh, I just don't even want to fight anymore. I, however, was committed to her justice.
Oh, this is just like too much. Like, I am Superwoman.
And couldn't stop. And couldn't stop fighting for her. Okay, the word justice, you don't put it in your personal statement.
No. How many times do we say that?
1,000,000 times. And, you know, this is like, hold on. It's your client's choice. I don't know.
Yeah.
So your client doesn't want to keep going, but you're going to keep going anyway? I'm committed. You're so committed to her justice and you can't stop fighting for her. So
I know what's best for you. You're going to stay in this country
without her participation?
I don't understand.
Anyway, I was committed to her justice and couldn't stop fighting for her. By the way, her justice, committed to her justice? No, you wanted justice for her, but also just don't put justice.
Justice.
Yeah, don't put any of that. If there was even the slightest chance of winning her case, we had to try. I consoled ZP and promised we would continue to advocate for her.
Wait, hold up. So let's go back to the slightest chance. That too is naive, right? This is not good. People make these decisions all the time. They say, "What's my chances of winning?" And they decide on the potential costs involved, and they decide to not move forward or move forward. Even in a pro bono case, you're not.
Yeah, is this going to be another 1 year of torture and uncertainty about where your life is going?
Yeah.
For a 1% chance of success? Maybe it's not worth it. You could very reasonably decide not to continue fighting this. I mean, I don't know the specifics, obviously, but...
Yeah, despite the, quote, injustice that would accrue.
Right.
I mean, the bigger injustice is someone stealing your time and your anxiety over something that you may be willing to go back home for. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, but I'm just saying, like, does not come across as, like, seasoned and balanced.
Nope. After consulting with the attorney, I began my research. So this is the second time in the same personal statement that you have consulted with the attorney and begun your research. I searched for case law with similar convictions that were granted favorably to the respondent. I found 3 different cases brought to the Board of Immigration Appeals that established the precedent needed to argue ZP's case. I drafted a brief outlining the elements in ZP's criminal conviction and prepared an argument stating she merited a favorable exercise of discretion. The attorney finalized the brief and signed off on the appeal response. 5 months later, we received an approval for ZP's case. So there's the win.
There's the win. I would make the losing a lot shorter.
Me too.
And not explain it. Just this is where it's better to actually skip the facts, leave that part of the story out, and just say, hey, this is the work I did. Unfortunately, ZP's application was denied, but I thought there was a decent chance of success, so I continued, and this is the research that I did, and we won.
Yeah, to the cynical reader, it makes it look like you're responsible for the loss in the first place.
It looks like you're because you're the one who wrote the draft, and now
the real cynic goes, oh, none of this would have happened if you would have done a better job in the first place. Because it sounds like at the beginning of the statement, you're like sitting on your hands in your office waiting for the mail to come in, and surprised that you have to do any of this. And it's like, well, wait a second. Couldn't you have anticipated all of this stuff? I mean, and I'm probably 1,000% wrong, right? I don't mean that that's actually the story. What I mean is you can give that impression. For someone who doesn't know anything about the story, that's one interpretation. Is like, oh, so you fucked up the first time and then you fucked up again the second time and then finally you won on appeal.
That's scary. Why did we have to get to that stage?
Yeah, right. I do not mean, Daisy, that that's what I think actually happened. I just mean that it's possible that someone could interpret this way.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily on your team when they're reading this. They've got a stack of applications and they're skeptical of all the bullshit that people are trying to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last paragraph. ZP's case is just one example of the 150 cases that I manage every day, all survivors of violent crime, sexual assault, or human trafficking.
Overselling. You don't manage 150 cases every day. That doesn't make any sense.
You have 150 cases in your system or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're definitely not managing all 150 of them every single day. I also don't like this sentence because the cases are not survivors of violent crime, sexual assault, or human trafficking.
Yes, the clients.
The humans are. The clients are. So that's a weird construction to say. You're implying that the cases themselves are survivors of violent crime. Often, oh boy. Often I receive numerous RFEs.
Everybody, just don't use the word numerous. I really can't see a need for it.
Ever. No, numerous does not
or
need
various.
to be a thing.
Yeah.
You know what numerous means? I mean, what if this was LSAT logical reasoning? What does numerous mean?
At least one.
Yeah, it means some. And some means at least one. So you receive, all it means is literally a number. But we don't know what that number is. So, if it's a dozen, you could say a dozen. But it's probably not a dozen. Anyway, often I receive numerous RFEs with time-sensitive deadlines that I must respond to while still maintaining my normal caseload. I hate that sentiment because it's just like, we understand that you work in a law office.
Yeah. It's like, oh, look at this extra work I'm doing. No, that's your job.
Right. You work in a law office. We assume you're busy. We assume you have time-sensitive deadlines. So you're not telling us anything new here. It is my job to help our clients navigate through the treacherous tides of our outdated and backlogged immigration legal system. But I can only do so much now. Becoming a lawyer will allow me to represent and advocate for this population in a way I cannot entirely do at this time.
Already known.
Yeah, I hate this theme. I would say it pops up in 25% of all personal statements.
Yeah.
Where people say the blindingly obvious, I can't actually practice law right now.
The law schools are probably rolling. I mean, it might be higher than 25%. This is a pretty common.
Yeah, maybe it's half of all personal statements. I've ranted about this on the show before. I intend to go to law school so that I can get a JD to deepen my legal skills and my ability to represent clients.
Good.
Which is a thing that applies to literally every law school applicant by definition. So yeah, we know that. I don't know. There's also a weird, it's just kind of cringy in in a way that I cannot do entirely at this time. As if it's sort of like I should be.
I'm almost there.
I'm already I kind of am a lawyer, but I can't entirely be a lawyer because there's the small problem where I haven't gone to law school or taken the bar.
Well, I bet that's I do feel like that's a common sentiment among paralegals.
Yeah.
These guys are getting paid.
Oh, I hear that all the time.
Way more than I am.
You've heard that a million times from your students, right? Like, well, I actually do all the work. All they do is sign off on it.
Yeah.
We get that, but you just don't need to put that in your personal statement.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know about the shitting on our immigration legal system. The treacherous tides of our outdated and backlogged immigration legal system.
No.
Do we need to hear about that?
Nope.
I don't think so.
It's all just telling anyways. What do you mean?
It has nothing to do with you.
We had one case. You're saying that case indicates a familiarity with the systemic problems?
Here's a broken sentence. The difficulties the immigrant community face has been my motivation for law school since I was a child. Oh my God.
Really?
Well, if you yourself are, daughter of immigrants, I'm willing to buy that you've been familiar with the difficulties of the immigrant community forever. You do have a subject-verb disagreement there, though, because you've got difficulties, plural, as your subject, and has been singular as the verb. So that at the least needs to be have been. But this also runs into that problem of law school since I was a child. You want to talk about that, Ben?
It invokes the image of a child who wants to be a lawyer, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know what, it's not, I want to know, you did a good job of talking about something current. You yourself now making this decision to go to law school is a lot more persuasive than you as a child. So if this is true, it's not necessary. Just drop it.
You work in immigration law. Yeah. You are an immigration paralegal. I don't care where that came from. I care that you are actually doing it now. That's so much more powerful.
Yeah.
100 people can say, oh, when I was a kid, I thought I wanted to be an immigration attorney.
Yeah.
But then I got older and realized I didn't know what the fuck an immigration attorney does.
Well, even children of immigrants.
Right.
But unless they act on that, and you have acted on that, so there's no reason to
right.
go back to this.
No.
So stick with your story.
Yes, you got into it for reasons. We all know everyone has reasons. But you've actually done something, so we can infer that you had a reason and that's why you're doing something. Great. I don't care about the reason. I care about what you've done about it.
Yeah.
Just use the space for more of that. As the daughter of immigrants who experienced the traumatizing side of the immigration system, I know wholeheartedly how challenging it is to find adequate legal representation. But don't you know that much more because of the 150 cases that you manage?
Yeah.
Like, I don't see why your own parent situation has anything to do with it. That's why you got into this field. But now you're in the field.
Maybe this is a diversity statement topic or something.
Sure. Put that in your diversity statement by all means. If you want to talk about how you're first generation, your daughter of immigrants, all that stuff, yeah, absolutely in a diversity statement. But in your personal statement, I mean, because listen, Ben, who knows more about it? The child of immigrants or the whitest, most privileged person in the world who has been an immigration paralegal for 3 years?
Yeah, you're going to get much more. I mean, there is a personal side of it that you may never experience, but you're going to see so many different cases and get a more holistic picture as a paralegal, which is what you've been doing.
The paralegal knows what lawyers actually do. The paralegal has had their hands on these documents. The paralegal has had letters from USCIS and RFEs and all these fucking like applications and appeals and all that shit. Like the paralegal, no matter how white they are, they know much more than any immigrant who experienced it firsthand in their own one singular case, not from the perspective of a lawyer.
Yeah.
So you're missing an opportunity here to just emphasize your experience as a paralegal.
Yeah.
Move all this stuff about your childhood and your family, move all that stuff to a diversity statement. Okay. Last sentence. My last 3.5 years working in the field has served to reaffirm my vocation and provide the final push I needed to seek the next step in my legal career.
I don't know that I would talk about that either. It makes it sound like you were unsure. I would just present, this is what I've been doing, and now I'm going to go to law school. Like, we don't need to know that you were unsure about this decision.
Less about what you think, less about what you feel, less about like your why and the motivations and all this shit. Less about that. More about what you did. And in the last paragraph, you can certainly talk about what you want to do next. But you need to demonstrate. And you've got, I mean, God, there must be so much you could be talking about in your day-to-day.
Yeah.
Maybe put another case in here. Because I think we got to shorten ZP's case.
Yeah.
And focus on the winning and less on the part where you might have caused the problem in the first place, or at least make it seem like that. So more about like winning these cases. And then, if you want to, in the last paragraph, say, I intend to become an immigration attorney so that I can work with these population, whatever. Talk about a little bit how naturally this is the next step. Mm-hmm. You need to show that, not tell that, by the way. Make it look like this is naturally the next step. Don't say this is naturally the next step.
Naturally.
Yeah, you don't need to put that editorialization. But like if that's the conclusion you want to leave them with, that like this is a natural next step, your childhood doesn't actually make me believe that.
Yeah.
The work you've done as a paralegal is what makes me believe that. Not the worst personal statement we've ever read, Ben.
No, not the worst by any means. There's a lot of potential here. Yep. Just need to clean it up and focus more on winning. Yeah.
Lots of bad sentences there, Daisy. Definitely need to clean up the grammar. Run it through Grammarly. Print it out and read it out loud. Get more help from the best writers you know.
Yeah.
But if someone reads this and they say, "Yep, looks great," that's not helpful. they need to send this back with like 20 different edits on it. That's how you know you're getting like actual help. Any last words for Daisy?
No, good luck. It sounds like you know what you're getting into, and that's exciting.
Yeah. Oh, obviously, DP knows what she's getting into. I mean, and thank you for all of your good work. And like, we really do appreciate that you're going out of your way to, advocate for these people who clearly need help, and like they don't have any way of paying for this representation, and you're fighting hard to get them the representation, and actually, hey, changing their life by keeping them in the country if they want to stay here. And so like we really do appreciate all of that. Thank you for that good work. Want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
You can join the Thinking LSAT podcast group on Facebook. I think we got 1,700, something like that, members talking about the show on Facebook if you want to drop in over there. We are at Thinking LSAT on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at InFox on Twitter. That's like the one social media that I actually kind of half-ass use. So if you want to find me on social media, I'm at InFox on Twitter. Ben, you using anything these days?
Not really, actually. I'm on Instagram, but I don't even go on that often. Maybe once a week. It's really not.
I think you're at Innovator Ben on Instagram.
That is correct.
Okay. You can visit strategyprep.com if you want to learn about Ben's classes and private tutoring in DC. You can go to foxlsat.com if you want to learn about my classes in Los Angeles and San Francisco. LSATdemon.com is our joint online project. It is everything you need for LSAT prep. If you like our style, the Demon is the only way to get us. It's so much a better alternative. If you're in, Kansas City, Missouri, and the best choice you have for LSAT prep in Kansas City is like a horrible Kaplan class, you definitely should trust us and just subscribe to the Demon instead. We promise you'll be better off in our hands than in Kaplan's hands. So please check out the free trial of the LSAT Demon. It is a complete LSAT preparation tool. It has lessons. It has proctored practice tests, timed sections, timed tests, every LSAT question, all Ben's videos, all my videos, shit tons of written explanations. What else?
I was just doing the data the other day, actually. I check on how many explanations we have in the Demon every week. And we add about 100 a week between all of us.
Yeah, and there's only 7,000 total questions.
Well, there's already
7,000, 9,000 total questions.
Yeah,
to be explained. So we're over 50%, right?
Oh, for sure. Let me look actually really quick how many explanations we have in there. Quick number here. So there's actually 14,959 explanations.
Oh, because we've got more than one per question in lots.
Yeah,
and
some
lots
of the
cases.
games have multiple videos by design, but in any case, there's a lot of information in there. So, and that's not including the lessons. But anyways,
not including the lessons. I'm keeping up with the ask button requests. I have in my inbox right now, I can count them. These all came in last night, or I was down to 0 yesterday. I have in my inbox right now 6 requests for logical reasoning explanations. So those are 6 brand new explanations that are going to go out to the user. I'll email out each of these users, and we'll also put the new written explanation right into the Demon. So thank you for everybody who's hitting the ask button. It's keeping me motivated to work. But we're going to explain every single LSAT question ever to the best of our ability. And if there's currently something in the Demon that doesn't have the explanation, just hit the ask button and we'll get it right back to you.
Yeah.
You can listen to the podcast everywhere. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher, thinkinglsat.com. Just hit the subscribe button wherever you are. And again, do please leave us a review on iTunes if you get a chance. That was episode 231 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.